In the early 60s, Guinand presented a model which won a prize among the Swiss watch manufacturers, the model 361, which is known in the German watch market as the 102B of Sinn Spezialuhren. This model is the kind of kick-off between the cooperation between Sinn Spezialuhren and Guinand. I just presented in the video right over here the cooperation and the relationship between Guinand and Sinn as an order-manufacturer relationship, and this model is the start of that particular relationship. Some time ago, Guinand presented a refreshed, modern and really nice version of the ancient 361 model, and I'm happy to present you this new model in this video. Hello and welcome to WatchMaxy's Watch Videos. My name is Axel and I'm glad to have you on the show. Now you have the option, if not yet done, to subscribe to my channel. Just click the button at the lower right corner and during the whole video leave comments what you like, what you don't like, what you would like to see more or less, and I'm happy to read your comments and reply to them. But now let's move to the 361 of Guinand. Well, the current modern 361 version of the Guinand engine model is available for about 1,898 euro on the leather strap, which according to my personal opinion is a pretty fair price for a reverse Panda bi-compax chrono with a small permanent second hand on the 9 o'clock position and a 30 minutes counter at the 3 o'clock position. The watch comes with a 40.6 millimeter diameter. The bi-compax has been realized by a Valjoux 7753 or a Sellita SV 510, depending on the availability of the special movement. Let's move to the watch, and during the presentation of the watch I will give you a hint of the, for my personally view, slightly confusing scale on the watch, and the respective scales I'm going to explain towards the end of the video. But before that, I would like to give you a more detailed impression of the watch. I have to admit, not literally but figuratively, I've taken the watch off the wrist of a co-collector on a watch meeting and collectors meeting we had, so it's not totally cleaned up. You see smaller signs of wear, both in terms of dust you see and signs on the watch, so it's not a completely new watch. It's a used watch, but in a pretty good condition, and I'd be happy if all of my watches would look like this one does. You see the polished side and only really minor signs of wear. So absolutely good condition. The watch has, as I said, a reverse Panda with a silver inner ring, protected pushers, screw down crown, and as nearly all Guinand watches, it's a bidirectional non-click bezel which allows a perfect adjustment of time and position. The case back is engraved with the G for Guinand. It looks pretty good. So now please allow me to set my macro lens and have a closer look to the dial of the watch. As you can see here, the counters are not just printed, they have silver rings, which stands for a higher quality, and here you get an impression of the, from my point of view, slightly confusing scale on the watch when it comes to reading the minute, but I'm going to explain this in a separate part with pictures and markers to show you better what I mean. So here you see the face of the watch, and let me indicate what I meant by slightly confusing minute indication. May I guide you to the 12 o'clock position and the 60 just above the 12. This is minute 0, and the straight marker to the right is minute 1. Then comes a small dot, which we ignore for a moment. The next straight marker is the minute 2, followed by a small dot and a tiny figure 1, which is minute 3 when it comes to reading the minute. The 1 has a different meaning, and I'm going to explain this in a couple of minutes. Followed by a straight marker, which is minute 4, followed by a dot, which we ignore for a moment, followed by a 5 in a slightly bigger font type, and this stands for minute 5. Then comes a smaller 2, which is minute 6, and so on and so forth. So reading the minute for me is not intuitive, it's slightly confusing. That's the downside of that scale. The upside is that you have gotten 3 scales on a single watch, which allows you to measure a couple of things, but it kind of complicates reading the exact minute of the time. Let's move to the commonly known and well-made Tachymeter Scale. The Tachymeter Scale you can see right over here, and that's about measuring one process from start till end. Let's say driving a mile or a kilometer or doing a certain process, whatever it is. Let's assume you start the stop mechanism when you start doing the process, when you start driving the kilometer, whatever it is, and you stop it, and the stop hand stops at the 9 o'clock position and points to the AT at the outer scale, which means you're driving about 80 kilometers per hour or 80 miles per hour. That's the indication. If the second hand stops prior to that, where the picture it shows right here, it's slightly below 100 miles, kilometers, or any kind of other repetition. And when it goes up to the 12 o'clock position, then it's exactly 60 miles, kilometer, whatever you measure. So that's the tachymeter scale at the outer circle of the scale printed on the dial of the watch. Now we come to the smaller figures, which are for myself confusing, but they do have a separate meaning. I've indicated 3 red lines pointing to the smaller one. Remember, the smaller one is the 3-minute indication when you read the time. Then you have a smaller dot between the 4 and 5 minute marker, and you have got a smaller 2 representing the 4-minute indication. So 1, a dot in between, and a 2. This is the telemeter scale, and the telemeter scale is used to calculate a distance by measuring the time elapsed between a lightning you see and a thunder you hear. The light wave is faster than the sound wave, and the longer it takes to hear the sound when you've seen the light, the farther it is away. And as a proxy, you can say about 3 seconds elapsed between lightning and thunder is about 1 kilometer. It's not 100% exact, but for a proxy it works fine. So if you stop the chrono, if you start the chrono when you see the lightning and stop it, you can read on the watch how far the thunderstorm is away from you. If you stop at 3 seconds, it's 1 kilometer. If you stop at 6 seconds, it's 2 kilometer. And wherever you stop, you can read it at the smaller figures and the dot in between to an accuracy of half a kilometer, a quarter of a kilometer, something like that. So it's really helpful when you're outside and you want to know how far the thunderstorm is away. So it's good thing. It's a feature I really do like, but to be honest, I don't exactly like how it's done here, because I personally feel confused by the different figures and numbers and font types and dots in between, which confuses me to read the time. Besides that, I think this is a really great watch. It's comfortably to wear, it's modern, it's well priced, and it's an absolutely great watch, which I really do like, except the confusing scale on the face. If you like the video, please leave a comment. Just tell me what you want to see more, what you want to see less. And over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to show you more Guinand watches, and I promise with simpler scales on the watch